I've walked through too many moments pretending I was fine when deep down I felt completely alone. Surrounded by people yet isolated in my soul. Talking, smiling, working, functioning, but not really feeling connected. I've sat in rooms filled with laughter and still felt unseen. I've laid in bed at night scrolling, thinking, overthinking, and wondering why no one really sees me. And I know in my mind that you're with me. I've heard it, I've read it, I've said it to others, but it doesn't always feel true in my body, in my thoughts, in the heaviness that creeps in when things go quiet. That's what loneliness does. It doesn't always come from being alone. It comes from feeling like I'm carrying life by myself. That no one understands, that no one is truly in it with me. And that feeling has followed me even into prayer. Even here, talking to you, there are times when it feels like I'm just speaking into the air. Like I'm journaling into nothing, and that's the part that hurts. When I most need connection, I even doubt you're near. But I don't want to live like that anymore. I don't want to carry this invisible weight of isolation while pretending I'm spiritually strong. I want to know you're close, not just theologically, but emotionally, practically, viscerally. I want to feel you near me, in the ordinary, when I'm doing dishes, when I'm answering emails, when I'm sitting alone in a cafe or driving with the radio off. I want to sense you in the small silences, not just in the big breakthroughs. I want to stop treating your presence like a rare event and start receiving it like my reality. So I'm asking you now, not for fireworks, not for dramatic signs, but for something simple. Let me notice you again. Let my spirit become soft enough to recognize the nearness I've stopped expecting. Let my inner world quiet enough to hear the whisper that says, you are not alone. Because I think the enemy of my soul doesn't always try to destroy me with pain. Sometimes he just isolates me with lies, tells me I'm forgotten, tells me I'm too much, tells me I'm not worth checking in on, tells me that even you have more important things to do than sit with someone like me in a quiet room. But I'm learning to challenge that now. I'm learning to say, even through clenched doubt, no, he is here. He is with me. Right now, I want that truth to become more than a sentence. I want it to become my breath, that I can inhale peace because you're beside me, that I can exhale worry because I'm not carrying the moment alone, that I can walk through today without needing to be noticed by everyone because I'm seen by you. So help me start here. Help me believe that I'm never actually by myself. Not when I'm grieving, not when I'm laughing, not when I'm completely unsure of what comes next. Be real to me, God. Let this not be performance. Let it be presence. I want to live like you're actually with me. Not just when I'm praying or reading or listening to something spiritual. I want your presence to follow me into the grocery store, into the long meetings, into the mundane parts of life, where my mind tends to wander and my heart starts to drift. Because those are the places where I feel most alone. Not always in crisis, but in the slow in-between hours. The moments when the phone is silent. The hours when no one texts back. The times when it feels like the world has moved on without me and I'm stuck in a cycle of doing life quietly unnoticed. I want to feel you there, not in some mystical way that I have to chase, but in the quiet assurance that you're just with me, sitting with me, walking beside me, being near, not because I did something impressive, but because that's who you are. The God who stays. A presence that doesn't demand my performance. I'm tired of living in bursts. One moment feeling full of faith, the next falling into a spiral of silence. I want consistency. I want to know that even when I don't feel you, I can still trust you're here. Even when I don't hear anything, you haven't moved. Because I've based too much of my belief on my feelings, and feelings change. They rise and fall, but your presence doesn't. You're not flaky, you're not distracted, you're not moody like I am. You're steady, you're rooted, you're loyal. So teach me to live like that's true. Teach me to make space for your presence, not as a last resort when I'm lonely, but as my first reality. Let me reach for you before I reach for a distraction. Let me pause before I scroll. Let me breathe before I spiral. Let me remember you're near, even when the moment feels completely ordinary. Because maybe that's the secret I've missed. You don't just show up in the holy. You inhabit the humble. You walk in the ordinary. You're with me in the dishes and the driving and the downtime. And when I learn to recognize you there, loneliness starts to lose its grip. So don't let me go numb again. Don't let me miss you in the silence. Don't let me waste another season thinking I have to carry this all by myself. Rewire in me, God. Remind me that I was made for your presence, not just for eternity, but for this exact hour, this very breath, this life I'm living right now. You're in it. You're not waiting for me to be more spiritual or more together. You're here. And if you're here, I'm never really alone. Life feels uncertain so often. Plans fall through. People shift. Health fades. Emotions rise and crash. And I've looked for something to hold on to in all of it. Something steady, but everything seems to shift eventually. Everything except you. You are the one constant when the ground moves, and the one presence that doesn't depend on my performance, mood, or spiritual rhythm. You're just here, always. And I don't want to treat that lightly anymore, because in the chaos of trying to keep up with everything, relationships, expectations, obligations, I've realized what I need most is to be held, not advised, not fixed, not motivated, just held. And I believe that's what your presence is. It's the place where I can stop performing, where I don't have to explain myself, where I don't have to manage how I'm perceived, where I can be fully human and still fully loved. That's where the loneliness starts to break. When I stop thinking I need more people to fill the void and realize I need more of you. Not more theology, more nearness. Not more answers, nor awareness that you're not watching me from afar. You're walking through this with me. When I sit in the waiting room, you're next to me. When I cry in the car, you're in the passenger seat. When I laugh over coffee, you're part of the joy. When I lie awake in the middle of the night wondering what comes next, you're there too, whispering peace into places that used to scream. So help me return to that awareness again and again, because the distractions are real. The pressure is loud. The urge to fix everything myself is strong. But none of those things give me what your presence gives. Rest, peace, perspective. So when the next wave of emotion hits, when insecurity creeps in or I start to feel forgotten, help me pause. Help me breathe in the truth that I am not alone. I am never alone. Not in this room. Not in this day. Not in this battle. Not in this body. I am seen. I am known. I am accompanied by the God who doesn't flinch at my weakness or walk out when it gets quiet. Let that be the truth that steadies me. Let it be the stillness I return to again and again. Let it anchor my heart when the world feels like too much, because no matter what changes around me, if I have you, I have enough. I've spent so much time trying to be strong, trying to keep it together, trying to manage all the things life throws at me without falling apart. But sometimes even in the strength, I feel so deeply alone, like I'm the only one holding the weight, like no one sees how much I'm carrying just to stay functional. And then I remember, you see every unspoken fear, every fake smile, every moment I want to give up but don't. You see when I put on the brave face, and you don't ask me to keep performing. You invite me into rest, into honesty, into a presence that doesn't need me to be perfect. And that's what I've needed all along, not another motivational message, not another to-do list, but a place to fall apart and be fully safe, fully accepted, fully known. That's what your presence is. A refuge, a quiet space in the middle of chaos. A reminder that I'm not carrying this alone. You're not watching from a distance, hoping I figure it out. You're near. Closer, closer than the noise. Closer than the tension in my chest. Closer than the fear. Whispering lies I don't want to believe anymore. So help me let go. Help me stop clenching my jaw and bracing for impact. Help me stop assuming I have to fix everything before I'm allowed to feel peace. Because peace doesn't come after the problems are solved. It comes when I remember you're already here. I don't need to earn it. I don't need to beg for it. I just need to receive it, to return to the truth. I keep forgetting that your presence is my provision. That you're not just a comfort during prayer. You're the strength that walks with me into every moment after. So when I go back to work, when I sit in another meeting, when I stand in the kitchen making dinner, when I lie in bed too wired to sleep, help me sense you there. Not just occasionally but constantly. Not because I did something special to deserve it, but because you love me enough to stay. You're not put off by my exhaustion. You don't leave when I'm quiet. You don't require performance to be present. You just are. And that reality, if I let it settle, changes everything. Because I might still be tired. I might still be unsure. But I won't be alone in any of it. And that's enough for today. That's the miracle I've been aching for. Not that everything around me changes, but that I remember who is still here, with me in the middle of it all. God, something in me is softer now. I can't always explain it, but I feel the ache isn't gone. But it's different. Lighter, 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 lighter. Life suddenly fixed itself. But because I've stopped assuming I have to walk through it alone, that belief that I'm in this with you is changing everything. I speak differently now, I breathe differently now, I even rest differently now, and not perfectly, but more freely, and I want that freedom to last. I don't want to lose it the next time the schedule overwhelms me or a new crisis shows up. I don't want to go back to old patterns of carrying more than I was made to. So I'm asking you to keep teaching me how to live from your presence, not just visit it. Let it be the space I return to first. Not the backup plan I run to when everything else fails. Let it shape the way I respond, the way I move, the way I treat people. Let it change how I talk to myself, not as someone who's behind, broken or failing, but as someone who is deeply loved and never alone. Let your presence rewrite how I see my own life, because when I live like you're here, I stop rushing, I stop performing, I stop needing everyone else to validate me. I start showing up from a deeper place, a steadier place, a truer place, a truer place. And it becomes less about what I achieve and more about what I carry, nor about what I bring into a room, not through charisma or status, but through peace, through quiet strength, through something settled inside me that says, I know who's with me, I know I'm not alone. Then I know that even if today doesn't go how I hoped, that won't change the one who walks with me through. So thank you, God, not just for fixing things, but for being with me in them. Thank you for not waiting for me to be stronger. Thank you for not needing me to pray the perfect words. Thank you for never growing tired of staying close. I might forget this truth again. I might slip into fear again. But even then, you'll still be here, still present, still patient, still love. And I'll find you again. Not because you moved, but because I slowed down enough to know that's all I really need, the awareness that you're here. The faith to believe it when I don't feel it, and the courage to live from it anyway. So today I choose presence. I choose to believe I'm not alone. Not for a second, not for a breath, not even in the silence. You are here, and that truth changes everything.